favorite Black ass cousin, and you already know we are back for another episode of Freedom Podcast. This is the official podcast of Conscious Kingdom. Make sure that you are following us and checking out the website at shopconsciouskingdom.com. This is a platform where we are always giving Black folks the spotlight that they need and that they are often denied. And one thing that we don't talk about in the Black community often is, of course, mental health and also what is labeled as disabilities. One of the big things that we don't talk about, especially in our children, is autism and being on the autism spectrum. Prepping for this interview, y'all, I went all in looking up just statistics and numbers, and I was shooketh, okay? I was so shocked to see the amount of Black children that are affected by this, and we just ain't talking about it. So I'm so honored to have this amazing, phenomenal mother on the show today. She is raising a child that is autistic, and she's gonna completely share her life, her journey, and what it's been like raising a child who the world often forgets about. So I'm super excited to introduce y'all to our new cousin, because y'all know around here, we ain't got no followers, we ain't got no guests. We Black, we family, okay? So I'm super excited to introduce our new cousin. Hey, cousin.
Hey, cousin. I am loving your show, number one.
Thank you, love.
You guys, I am so impressed. If you guys can see me, you will see that I'm super duper impressed with her. You did research?
Girl, honestly, because I'll be completely honest, like seeing the numbers say 1 in 54 Black children are diagnosed with it, and not only that,
54 children that are diagnosed, but we as Black people, we don't know a lot about autism, and
right.
I'm gonna wait to get into that.
Yeah, no, I definitely want you to dive all into it. The other thing that I saw was Black children are often diagnosed later, and they're often misdiagnosed. So they're thought, you know, they're looked at as, oh, they have behavioral issues or things like that. So let's just go ahead and dive right into it.
I am proud of you.
Girl, I had to do my research.
That is actually facts.
Yeah,
that is facts.
Let's start just by telling everybody your name, where you're from, and tell us a little bit about your children and your journey.
So, hi, everybody. My name is Crystal Jordan. I am from Atlanta, Georgia. I created a brand called Zachariah World. It's named after my son. My son is my inspiration. And with him being my inspiration, my mission is to normalize the conversation around autism. And I feel that we as Black people, we don't know what autism is. I get often asked, told, oh, it don't look like your son has autism. And I'm like, that's not Down syndrome. That's Down syndrome. It's two different disabilities. And I'm not shaming any other disability, but it showed me time and time again, you don't know what it is. Oh, he's very smart. What does smart have to do with autism? Yes, a lot of people on the spectrum are extremely smart, educated, just like you and I are smart and educated, but we're not on the spectrum. We're neurotypical. But my son was diagnosed when he was 2 years old. I gave myself 2 days to cry. That was the weekend. 2 weeks, like 2 days to like not grieve, just be like, okay. And then that Monday, I jumped right into it, and I just started being his advocate because I needed him to make sure that he gets everything that he needed for what he needed to be in life. So when a child has autism, it's better that we get the services they need, like speech services. I know some people are against ABA, but ABA and stuff like that.
What's that? What's
make sure that ABA is applied behavior therapy.
Okay.
So it's a lot. It's funny because I'm like I have really dodged into this autism advocate thing, and it's not a thing for me, it's life. And I have met people that's on the spectrum. I have been noticing a lot of people are not for ABA. And I said, well, for me and my son, I only see positive things from it. I haven't seen anything negative from it. But I can read from my book what it is, because I have all the facts in my little book.
Yes, but she's being super modest, y'all. She is coming out with her own book. Put it in the camera so everybody can see. Yes, girl, boast about yourself. Brag on you. Yes. So yes, as you can see, it's Just Like You, Autism Awareness Coloring book. And I love that idea because, for one, if you guys are just listening to the audio and not seeing the video, we'll post it on the social media. But the beauty of her cover is, hold it up against this, let everybody see. The children are super, it's beautiful Black kids with natural hair, and it just brings, it normalizes it in our community when we see people that look like our own children, because it is a part of our community. So yeah, go ahead. So tell us exactly what autism is.
So it is for me, I describe it as, and I know my son therapist getting me like about this. I describe autism as a social disability, but I know that's not what it is, because autism looks different for each person. Just because you met one person with autism, that's just one person with autism. Just because, like, my son is non-vocal, so he doesn't talk, he doesn't use his vocal, but he communicates with pets, and he communicates by bringing you things and stuff like that. Okay. What is pets? A pets is a picture chain system. I wish I had something in here I can show you what it is, but he communicate with pictures. If you can imagine a stack of cards with pictures and words, and just say microwave or whatever the case may be, cookies, tablet, the things he uses every day. But that is how I describe autism, because that is what I see within my son. But I know that that is not what fully autism is. People are still learning what autism is. Like, it's still, they're still doing research on it. But in my opinion, I don't think there's anything wrong with people who have autism. I think the way that some people describe it make it seem like, oh my God, there's something wrong with them. In my opinion, I feel like the puzzles and everything, it's just hidden pieces of them. And I have been enjoying learning about this journey for, like, my son is 4 now, for 2 years. And I have been meeting moms. It just, for me, my journey has been good so far. So far, it's been good.
Got you. So just let's take us back to when he was 2 years old. As a mom, I know you know everything about him. You're observing him. You're watching him. What were some of the initial signs or some of the things that led to the actual diagnosis?
So my story is going to sound completely different from everybody else's. My son, when I was pregnant, they told me that my child was I can't remember the word, either had Down syndrome or come out stillborn. So me being pregnant initially, I figured my child was going to have a disability, but it was supposed to be Down syndrome, but I was high risk. So he came out, he looked healthy, he was fine. So I left it alone. He was 8 months. My son's doctor, who was amazing, she was like, I think he has autism. And I was like, because her son has autism. And I was like, I brushed it off. 8 months. She said, okay. So I don't know what made her say that 8 months. I can't answer that question because I don't know what made her say that. Okay. So when he turned 1, he still wasn't talking. So I was like, okay, he hit all his milestones. But when he turned 1, he still wasn't talking. So I said, okay, well, maybe everybody don't talk at 1. So we're going to wait. So I want to say he was 16 months, still wasn't talking. I was like, okay. I had a speech delay growing up, so I said maybe it's a speech delay. So I kept blowing it off. So then I want to say May of 2019. That's when I just pulled into my doctor's office and my son's doctor's office, and I said, okay, I want him to be tested. And she was like, she don't take walk-ins. She said, I don't want you doing this because I know you're ready. You're not in denial no more. I said, yeah, I'm ready. So then she sent me to Market Center. Market Center is the best in the East Coast for autism. So I was on a waiting list. Everything in Georgia had a waiting list. Everything. So I missed a part. So before that, okay. So when he was like wanted some change, he had a speech therapist, and she noticed some signs, and the signs was no eye contact. He preferred to be alone. He didn't respond to his name. Communication, speech delays. It was 14 signs. I can't remember all 14. I just remember some of them. And I was like, okay. She said, Mom, I think he has autism. I can't diagnose him, but you need to talk to the doctor. So that's when May came, and I finally decided, okay, let me work on this. It was May 22nd or something, or May 19th or something. I remember it was like near like the middle of May. And then October the 10th, 2019 was the day he got diagnosed. I went to Market City on my best friend. My best friend was there every step of the way. And they told me it was in black and white. I remember I didn't cry. I was like, okay, all right. So then I got into the car with my best friend and my son. I cried, and we took him and his best friend to the Ferris Park or something. It was the fair.
Yeah.
So I took him to the fair, and those 2 days I just gave it. I wasn't sad, but I was sad. And then that Monday, I started calling ABA therapists. I started calling speech therapists. I really got on it to find his providers. And then they was like, the ABA company I have today for my son, they was like, so you was diagnosed on the 10th and you're calling me on the 13th? Most parents wait 6 months. I was like, oh, well, I don't have that type of time.
Yeah.
I can't think like that. And ever since then, I just been like that. And I actually got his ABA during quarantine. When everybody was quarantining, I saw openings, and they was like, okay, we got openings. They said, but it's COVID. I don't care. Now, speech has been the problem. Like me trying to find a good speech provider, that has been the issue for 2 years. Okay. But we have a speech provider right now.
Are they not available? What's the difficulty of finding a speech therapist?
This about to be so real. This about to be so real, and I hope the viewers can stomach what I'm about to say. They suck. They're not. When I say they suck, I had one. My son had the one who said he had autism. He only showed improvement 5%, and she had him for 6 months. 5%. And that, I'm like, 5%, not at least 20%, like 5%.
Yeah.
And she was always late, always in traffic. So that was the first bad taste. So then she referred her friend to me. So her friend never called me back. That was second speech therapist. The third speech therapist came through Babies Can't Wait. If you live in Georgia, people, and you think your child have autism and they're under 3 years old, please contact Baby Can't Wait. It is completely free, so please contact them. So Babies Can't Wait gave me the third speech person. Her name was just like mine. Her name was Crystal. She came to the house. I met her. She seemed nice, whatever. She's supposed to start 3 weeks. 3 weeks after I met her, she never showed up. She never called me. So that was a cycle with the speech therapist. And I was just over it. So at this point, I gave up looking for speech because I was drained. Because I'm a single mom. I live with my parents. I'm really in this special needs thing by myself. You know, my parents help, and I'm so happy they help. But when it comes to me finding the providers and everything, that's me. And I got burnt out. So I stopped looking for speech therapists. Like, I was over it. Because every time I called one, they was unreliable. And I didn't understand, was that the culture in the speech there? Because I had speech problems growing up too, but I had a speech therapist. I don't know what happened. Right. So then during quarantine, I kept calling different companies, and I finally got one. Right now, I want to say it's so because I really want to pull him from it, but it's hard to find another speech therapist. So right now I'm keeping him because, yeah.
Yeah. No, I understand. I appreciate being so transparent about it, because I think that when, outside looking in, we don't know what those troubles look like. We don't know that. The average person would think, oh, it's plenty of therapists. Oh, they're good at their job and they do what they do. But it's like, that's just a part of your journey that other mothers don't even have to have those stresses and things. So I commend you for being so proactive. Like they said, most people wait 6 months. I love that you were not playing about yours. Like, you like, nah, what's going on? Let's get somebody on it. Like, and I think that you being proactive and taking that initiative is gonna be a huge blessing to your son down the line, because you didn't wait, and you aren't just accepting the no's or the bad service or any of that as an answer. I think that itself just speaks to the type of mother that you are. And I definitely want to give you your flowers, because that right there, a child would have been cussing people out and flipping tables and carrying on.
You know what's funny? Yesterday, my son, ABA therapist, thought I was at the speech therapist cussing him out yesterday, because Child, they have been getting on my nerves, and my email game is, I want to say, is dope.
Yeah.
So instead of me dropping an email, I pulled up yesterday, and I was gone too long. So my mama and my son therapist was worried. They said, "Oh my God, we need to check on Crystal because I'm only keeping him there because the waiting list for a speech is crazy. I have been calling
Wow.
everywhere, and they're trying to get him a speech device, which is hard to get. So I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna bite my tongue. I'm not biting my tongue. I'm not gonna lie. I'm just gonna back like 2 feet, and that's it. Cause I already told him how I felt today. Cause they lost yesterday. They made a mistake. They didn't get his pet. I wish I can get up and get it. He has a PEC system that he communicates with. They kept it. They didn't put it back in his bag. And he communicates. That's how I know he goes to the bathroom. That's how I talked to him. So
Yeah.
why is it not in his bag? So when I called up there, they didn't know what I was talking about. And I was like, oh my God, I had to breathe. So then when I got there, I was on the phone with whoever, and she was like, well, he comes at 4:30. I was like, but he just to communicate. So why would I wait to 4:30?
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't make sense. So I got it. So yesterday when I dropped him off, and when I came back home, I had the PEC system, but I was missing one of his pets, which is the fruit snack.
Mm.
And I called him today and I said, you know what? I don't want to take the PEC system for the beginner package is $100. It's not cheap.
Wow.
And yeah, so I told him, I said, you know what? I don't want to send no more PEC system over there. You guys can, I literally, if I would share my screen, I literally created them their own version of my PEC system and
Mhm.
told them to print it and then give me a copy of it. So,
Right.
but for me, speech is not going good. But my son is in speech, OT. He's supposed to be in feeding, coming up, feeding therapy, and he's in ABA. He's in 4 different therapies in all.
Okay, and just because it's not something that I'm familiar with, so I do appreciate your patience with the questions. Being that he's 4, um, I don't have no kids, so I apologize. But isn't that like, I know usually like 4 is like kindergarten, pre-K age? Am I correct? So
Well,
what does that look like for him moving forward in like
um,
the school academic portion of things?
oh, so that's a great question. So he started school at 3, and this is for the people who are listening. If you live in Georgia, I'm not sure about any other state because I live in Georgia. You can do special needs pre-K. You can send
Okay.
your kids who, if they have a special disability, you can get them an IEP and they can start at school as early as 3 years old. My son started school when he was 3. He's in APS school system. He has an IEP, which is an individualized plan, and
Yeah.
that is legal. So they cannot. So if it says speech for an hour a week, they
Mm.
have to they have to abide by it because that is a legal document and they cannot break it. Um, your question. So I hate virtual learning, but I want to say it's
Yeah.
going good.
I know it's hard for all the parents. I'm like, my heart goes out to y'all. I know
Yeah,
it's
I'm
hard.
there every step of the way. So
Yeah.
virtual learning it has been it has been a journey, but he's learning, he's growing. I'm happy he started school at 3, so it can give him a little bit more time
Yeah.
versus a neurotypical child who starts school at 5. Him starting school at 3 would still help him get to where your child's going to be because my child's already way behind than your child. You get it? A
Yeah.
neurotypical is society standard of normal. He's atypical. Atypical mean they're not neurotypical. They mean they don't have typical behaviors. That's autism, but it also what atypical means. But
Okay.
virtual learning been good. He has an IEP in place. I'm that mom who amends it because you can amend an IEP in the middle of the school year. If you feel like they're not abiding by the IEP, you can ask for a mandatory meeting, and they can't tell you no. You don't have to wait until the end of the year to do a whole new IEP. Because I
Mm.
did a new IEP in the middle of the school year because I was like, hold up, I'm not liking this. His teacher's dope, but it was the speech. I wasn't caring for the speech. So
Right.
we redid it. And then I had another IEP 3 weeks ago. And this is for the parents listening. You are allowed to record your IEPs. When I say record your IEPs, you have to let them know, the team know, hey, I'm recording this. I'm recording this. If they say that you cannot, that is not true. You are allowed to record it. If they say you cannot, say no, you can record it too. So you can have for your own record. and make sure you are really advocating and fighting for your child. Make sure you read what it says in that paperwork. And they also have free resources in Georgia where you
Okay.
guys can have somebody come in and help you with your IEP. That's all on my website. If you need help with that, is www.zachariahworld.com/resources. And you can see all of that when I'm talking about an IEP coach. I don't have an IEP coach because my son ABA team is there every step of the way helping me with the IEP, and they've been training me to understand the language they use. Because when I did the amendment to my IEP, my son IEP, they was using these words, and I was like, what? 100. And I was like, oh no. So after the meeting, I had to email my son's teacher. I love her. I emailed her, and then the lady I was talking about called me to apologize. I said, yeah, you was very contradicting. That's what you was. She was like, oh, I didn't mean to throw my title like that. I said, yes, you did mean to throw your title like that. I know exactly what you do. I know exactly who you are, but I'm the parent. You're not going to talk to me like that. So if you ever run into them issues, make sure you just voice your opinion.
Yeah. And I love that you mentioned that, because I think a lot of times, even with like you said, neurotypical children and with the atypical children, it's like, unfortunately, if the parent kind of just accepts what they're told, the kid just kind of just
become a number.
Yeah, they become a number, and they just kind of drift through the system, and that's a disservice to our babies. So I love that you're like, no, you can record it, you can be an advocate, you can make amendments. Like, I think all of that needs to be highlighted, because even with because I have a lot of nieces and nephews, so I know that even in the school systems here in Virginia, they have the IDP, which is like the individual development plan. And it's like they give the child that at the beginning of the year, and it's like that's kind of just is what it is if the parent lets that be what it is.
That's the same thing as IEP. It's the same thing.
Yeah.
It's two different states, and the parent can fight it. So, but the parent has to pay attention to what they're signing. Like, I don't sign anything until I'm like, okay, no, we didn't discuss this. I have a recording, and my son's teacher said, you're the first parent I ever had to record a meeting. His teacher loved me, by the way, because I'm so involved. Right. But I'm like, yeah, I'm going to record every meeting because I want to make sure that I understand what happened, what I said, what you said, what the speech person said, what everybody on his team. I want to make sure we all on the same page. If we're not on the same page, Zachariah is losing. That's how I look. That's how I look at it. Absolutely. And thank you. And another good tip for parents listening as well is you guys can have an IEP binder. You can keep everything in a binder, or you can create an all about me resume for your child. I'm still working on my son all about me resume, but pretty much it's a resume. You give it to the teacher when you first meet the teacher at the beginning of the school year, and it says, hi, my name blah blah blah. I have autism, blah blah blah. I don't like da da da. It's literally one page. It's short, sweet, to the point, and you can add 10 things your child like. You give to the teacher, and that's how they get to know your child. That's not a little tip.
I love that too, because so like as you mentioned, of course, we've all been in the quarantine, and I've just been like binging a bunch of shows. So there is a show on Netflix called Atypical that dives into like the life of this young boy who has autism. And they show, it's like a coming to age where they show him going off to college and all of that. And I love to see that, because for one, it's not something that we actually see a lot of on TV and in the media. And the actual actor that they have cast, he is autistic. So it's not someone. It's really? Yeah, he is. Girl, my research. So yes, the lead actor in the show.
Wow. I'm gonna watch this to support.
So I love that the beauty in that show for me was it humanizes the diagnosis. And I love that you mentioned the all about me. So beyond his diagnosis, tell us just a little bit about your son. Like, what's his personality? You know, what's his favorite thing to do? And because I want you to do that, because I want everyone listening to know, whether they have a child that has been diagnosed or they are in a stage where it's like, I'm not sure if my child is or not, that's still your baby. and he or she can still be a person, have, they have feelings and have life experiences. So I want to kind of bring more light to just humanizing who he is as a beautiful little boy. You know what I mean?
I love that. I love that. So my son, his name is Zachariah. I don't know his favorite color yet, y'all, because he's non-vocal.
Yeah.
But he loves PJ Masks. I mean, he loves PJ Masks. Our new favorite thing is Bluey. I have a little dance to go with it when they say "Mom."
Yeah.
Bluey is his new thing. I take him to trampoline park like 3 to 2 times a week because I created him a sensory diet. It's not food, it's more sensory because he's a sensory seeker. Um, he's like any other kid. He loves pizza. He loves chicken nuggets, fries, cheese puffs, fruit snacks, chocolate donuts.
Oh, that's my boy. Yes.
Me and him both.
Donut.
And he loves Coca-Cola. Water and juice. But Coca-Cola is his top. Like, that's his top. He have a Coca-Cola, he gonna steal it. Like, but and he's goofy. He's silly. He's a happy kid in my opinion. He's always happy. When he cries, I try to understand his needs and wants.
Yeah.
It's a little bit more different from me versus a person who have a child who's vocal and have a child that's neurotypical, because I have to literally figure out what it is, like, why are you crying? Because he's not able to communicate that.
Yeah.
So that's pretty much him.
Yeah. I also want to dive into you as well, because for one, there is unfortunately a lot of shame for some mothers, which is something that I saw too in just researching what, the autism journey looks like as a parent, I know a lot of people talk about the diagnosis and the child and therapy and everything that they need, but there's also mothers and fathers and just parents, or, anyone who's serving in that capacity of raising a child who does have the diagnosis. For one, I know that it's a lot of pressure on you, but what are some things that you do for you to, because it takes a lot of energy, right? Like, it takes a lot of energy and a lot of effort to be such an advocate. But as strong as Black women are, we're like, who said that? Like, yeah, it might be Black girl magic, but that doesn't mean we aren't real. You are still a woman, you are still a human. So what are some things that you do to keep yourself centered and grounded while being such a strong advocate for Zachariah?
I love that question. Number one, I don't understand why a lot of parents are ashamed of their child's being on the spectrum or having special needs in general, because I will never understand that, because I'm proud of my child regardless. Mm-hmm. So one thing that I do to ground myself is I meditate. I started doing yoga. I read. I also have other businesses, so I focus in on my other business. I have a podcast, so Mondays is my day that I'm like crazy, mad crazy, and I literally interview guests like how you interview me. So that's one way I stay grounded. And me writing, I write down my feelings, and I sometimes once a month I take me a spiritual bath. I'm not sure if you're spiritual, but I take a spiritual bath. And that's pretty much it. I've been learning patience. Patience is the number one thing to learn if you're a special needs parent. Because if you don't have patience, you don't have anything. So I don't know, but I don't know. I just hate how much parents cannot open up about that. But I think it's a stigma in the Black community, because what happened in this house, stay in this house mentality. Mm-hmm. And unfortunately, that's a trauma within the Black community that most people don't want to talk about.
Absolutely. Yeah. And it's so troubling for me because, like I said, oftentimes because of that shame and like fear of just accepting it, kind of like you said, that the child is the one who gets left behind. The child doesn't get the resources and the necessities that they need, because there are a lot of children who, kind of like we talked about in the beginning, they are either on the spectrum or may, fully need to actually go and see if they can be diagnosed for full-blown autism. And the parent won't even be open to it because it's like, ain't nothing wrong with my child, he just bad. And it's like, no, like
I met a parent like that. I met her child. At this point, my child had already been diagnosed. And her child is exactly like my child. And I said, she was doing my hair. And I said, have you thought about getting your child tested, this a diagnosed? No. He just bad, girl. And she braided my hair. And I'm like, no, I don't think that's the answer. But I don't know you that well to tell you that I had said to her, I said, I think you're a great mom.
Yeah.
But I think you see what my son is doing, you see what your son is doing, you see how you're doing the exact same thing. I'm not saying he has autism because he's doing the same thing my child is doing, but your child is not verbal at this age. And I think you should probably look into it to see if he has autism, so you can get the help and you can reach out for him to get the help that he needs. She looked at me and he was watching something in Spanish. She said, I don't want you watching no Spanish, but you can be talking no Spanish. I was looking at her like, that's a great thing that he's looking at another language. And I never went back to her after that. But I was like, she was younger. I said, don't be closed-minded to this. I want you to be open to it. And she said, you know what, you're right. I said, I hope you're really listening. When you said that, it triggered something because I saw that in real life.
That is just a real thing.
A real thing.
Yeah.
And parents don't see that. And I know people I wonder if people get tired of me talking about autism, because I be serious. Like, you guys have to want to do better for your kid. It's not about you.
Right. And I think a lot of them look at it like, oh, like as if it's something they did on their, like it's something they did as the parent that, I messed, again, I don't feel this way, but I think the guilt is rooted in them looking at, I messed up as a mother. When it's like, no, it isn't an error. It isn't a mistake. It isn't any of that. And there's no reason to feel guilt or shame or anything. Let our cousin be a testament to it, y'all. It's okay if you see signs, even if I think awareness and knowledge is better than being oblivious and ignorance. At the end of the day, even if you feel, well, maybe, like you said, oh, maybe it was just a little delayed and, oh, it's just this, go and see. There are professionals, there are resources, and it's better to know so you can actually put a plan in place as opposed to kind of just, I hate that whole, oh, he just bad. Listen, Black kids are already looked at as they're criminalized enough. We don't need to be doing that in our homes. We don't need to be the ones putting that on our children that they're bad or, they don't know how to act. Oh, girl, he know how to talk. He just do that when he want to act funny. No, we
have to change the wording.
Exactly.
We have to change our wording, our mindset. Like, I watched my best friend's son, and instead of me saying he's bad, I'm like, he's very mischievous.
Exactly.
You hear the difference?
Yeah.
I didn't say he's bad. I said he's mischievous, which means the same thing is bad. Because people don't realize when you keep saying something, your child, that's where the childhood trauma come from.
Mm-hmm.
But people don't want to have that conversation about childhood trauma, because I had childhood trauma. But that's one thing I did want to hit on. I don't want us to put our kids in this box that we created. Like, when you pregnant, you fantasize your whole life with that child's gonna be. Oh, yeah. When that child come out, let them be who they're meant to be. They have autism, it's okay. And I know a lot of parents grieve the idea of the child they had. But that child you have right there is amazing. Absolutely. Get to know that child. Have patience with that child. Don't be sad. Embrace it. Become an advocate and push for that child.
Absolutely. Because one thing I also saw in my research, girl, yes, cousin, one thing that I saw is most of the like critically acclaimed, brilliant minds and engineers and educators and all these people that have, made history in this country, Black, white, or other, a lot of them were autistic or on the spectrum. So it's like, if you put your child in that box of, oh, something's, quote unquote, wrong with him or her, you're limiting their potential just in doing that. So I love that you're changing the word, changing the perspective, all of that. And I think that your book the coloring book that you have created. I think that that's also going to help push your journey. So tell us a little bit about that. Like, what inspired you, and what was that process like?
So y'all are going to laugh, y'all. So what inspired me was TikTok. I know that sounds crazy. I've never told about this story. So I was on TikTok and I've been on TikTok for hours. And this guy was about how easy it was to produce a children's book. So I already been working on the children's book. I'm still working on the children's book, right? And then I said, no, I want to do a coloring book. So all this came from a TikTok video about a man who created a children's book. And then I said, you know what? I want to do a coloring book too. So I already wrote the children's book. So I'm like, okay, let me do this. And I said, this could be an educational tool to educate multiple people. So I started working on it and I sourced my artists. And then as I sourced my artists, I started putting what is autism in there. I started putting in the glossary in there. And it was meant for kids of 4 and up. But then I realized it may be a little too advanced because it's really meant for the parent to help you. It's like
I love that.
The parent has to have this conversation. You see the glossary part? Like it's a whole glossary in here. Even in the beginning of the book, it has what is autism. Like it tell you why I wrote the book in here. But it also tell you what is autism. And I got that from autismspeaks.org. They gave me permission, and I literally put that in there. What is autism? Because I wanted you to pick up this book, but I want you to color, or the parent, you can sip wine. It's meant for everybody, and you can just color. But I got the idea from TikTok. Well, not the physical idea, but as I was working on it, and I was just like, I want to make sure I educate my people on what autism is, because I come across so many people of color who don't know what it is, and they don't even know that minorities are misdiagnosed or not diagnosed because they don't know what autism is. They think it's a behavior issue, and not even that. Do you not know boys are diagnosed 4 times more than girls? So I was like, okay, all these facts are so interesting, but what if I can get brown people to see us? And when I would start looking at autism awareness books, children's books, coloring books, I didn't see any book of color. I didn't see not one Black kid on the cover. So I'm like, okay, this is a problem for me. So I'm gonna be the solution to that problem, because I want my son to see himself. And this actually is my son. He loves swings.
I love it.
This actually is him right here.
Yes.
And on the back of the book, which I changed the covering, so this is not going to be when you order it, it's different, but it's telling you what it is. And then my quote is, they are just like you, but they just have hidden superpowers. So that's pretty much it. And I don't know, like, my mission is just to create a conversation like I'm doing with you. And I feel like I'm living up to my mission by me talking to you about it. And the coloring book is so dope. My ABA company, my son ABA company, putting it on that resource list. People are getting excited. I'm like, I didn't expect it to blow up like this. I literally just had the idea, created it, and me and the artist went back and forth. I just knew it wanted to be on autism. I didn't want a basic book, and I just want to be able to see I want my son to be able to see himself in a book.
Absolutely. And you're going to be helping so many other families who need to see that representation as well. Like, it's going to be powerful for a young child to look at little Zachariah and be like, oh, his hair is like mine. And like, then them and the parent can sit down and have this conversation, and it's a learning tool. It's because coloring is very therapeutic. So it can be, something, like you said, for the parent to do, and with a glass of wine and relax and unwind. Like, I think that what you have right here is so, so dope. And you definitely have our support all the way. I will be marketing it crazy once it does drop. I'm super excited because you're absolutely right. There is not a lot of representation for the amount of Black people that are affected by this. You would almost think it ain't in our community, when it's like, no, it is. But
it is, and it's crazy.
Yeah.
It's crazy. And you know what's funny? I did not mean to cut you off. It's funny. Once I created this, I've been meeting a lot of Black artists like myself who has books on autism. And it's funny. I'm only seeing these books is because I'm in groups and they're saying, oh, I got a book on autism. And now I'm buying their books and I'm reading it to my child. That's the only reason. But I can't just Google a book and for us, I don't see it. Coloring books are, I'm sorry to say this, I'm not trying to be racist. They're white kids.
Yeah.
They're white kids. That's what I see.
From the princesses to the superheroes to
everything white. Everything. White. I'm like, where's the black kid? Like, my son is black, and I want to understand his blackness. Mm. When I say that, because I'm very passionate, because I'm a proud black queen. I'm not no other race. I'm a black queen, and I want to make sure I represent that in my black brown community. Because I already had somebody come for me. They was like, why are you trying to represent the black? Somebody came for me like 2 weeks ago. They said, can you take black brown out of your thing? And I said, no, I cannot. You want to know a fact from the CDC? According to the CDC, minorities are less diagnosed. So you want me to take that out, and you want me to stop advocating for my people? He was black. You want me to stop advocating for our people? He didn't even respond back. Everybody was like, yeah, because you come for me, I come for you.
Yes. And yes, get everybody all the way together. We need to see ourselves. I'm so excited for the book. I'm so excited for the podcast, everything that you're doing. Tell us just for the future, what can we look forward to in the next 5 years in this journey, in you being an advocate? What are some of the, in the near future, some of the goals that you're working towards to continue to push this mission?
Okay, so some of my goals are, I'm doing it now, but I want to do a whole series of children's books. I want to do a whole series of coloring books. I'm in the process of creating a nonprofit. So in the next 5 years, I hope that nonprofit is very well known in the Black Brown community. Mm-hmm. Yes, I said Black Brown community. And I want my son's clothing brand to blow up. I'm currently wearing it now. So in the next 5 years, I just want my name to be a staple in the autism community. So whenever somebody say autism, about, oh, you talking about Crystal Jordan? I want people to put me to that name. So I want to be a staple, a mobile in 5 years when it comes to autism, because that is my passion. Yeah, and my purpose.
Yes, and I was gonna say it definitely is your purpose. The passion that you have for it, just the genuine desire to not only help your own household and your own son, but to help others. Like that right there is divine passion, if I ain't never seen it before. And I'm so glad that we have a beautiful Black woman, a mother, a business owner, entrepreneur, a boss like yourself, being the one that is wearing that crown. Because when you are, because I'm not gonna say if, when you are that staple, I know that you're going to do the right thing once you are put in those positions. So, girl, I'm excited.
Thank you.
I'm excited. So tell us, because I know there will be a lot of mothers that are listening, like I said, who may not be familiar with it, may have a child that may be possibly showing symptoms. What's just some words of encouragement, some affirmations that you can give to and I'm sorry, I don't want to just keep saying mothers, to parents, or, people serving in that capacity to children that may be, experiencing some of the similar things you were in the earlier years. What's just some words of encouragement and affirmations you can share with them?
So the first thing I can share with moms and parents and guardians is patience. I know I kept saying that a lot during this interview today, but patience. And if you believe in God or whatever your spiritual belief is, I want you to just meditate or pray about it. Mm-hmm. And I want you to talk to your doctor. And I know it's going to be a lot. I'm not going to lie. But I want you to just find you some me time, because me time is very important. I love my me time. And reach out to a close friend and find that friend that can be on the side of you. If it was for my best friend, I don't even want to cry, y'all, because my best friend... So when I tell y'all she was there like every step of the way, she's still here, but she was there every step of the way. I was like, thank you so much. I didn't want to cry, but make sure you have somebody you can reach out to. If you don't have anybody to reach out to, I am proud to be that person you guys can reach out to. You can call me at 404-380-0059. And it's okay to call me.
Cousin gave y'all the number. Cousin like, we gonna get this right. Just call me. Send me a text. Okay? We ain't playing. Just reach out. I love it.
You could call me or text me, and I'll try to be there every step of the way because it is a lot to process. But I just want you to remember one thing: breathe.
Mm.
Breathe and keep going. And you have to be an advocate for your kid. If you're not going to be the advocate for your kid will get left behind. And you don't want your child to get an IEP or not get an IEP and they're delayed and you're not pushing for them to be better because it's all about your kids. So if you just change your mindset and breathe, call me or get a best friend, everything gonna be okay. It's a process though. I'm not gonna lie to y'all. That's
Yeah.
why I'm looking at the camera like that, y'all. Cause like it is a process. Cause my best friend get on me all the time. She's telling me I have to do more. Cause she'd be like, you have to put him on the schedule. And my son's actually on the schedule now, and it's been beneficial for me. So that is my advice.
I love it. I love
Thank
it.
you. I
Make sure
love
you
helping other
tell
parents.
everybody where they can find you, where they can listen to the podcast, your website, just all your contact information so they can continue to support everything that you're doing.
All right. So if you want to check out Zachariah World, you can go to www.zachariahworld.com. Zachariah is spelled Zachariah.world.com. And you can, that website has resources, it has toys, it has clothes, the coloring book, everything's on there. If you want to shop my clothing brand, that's www.amorallure.com. That's AMORALLURE.com. And then my podcast is called The Bedroom Talk Show, where I interview queens like her and we just have a deep conversation about whatever they want to. And it's called The Bedroom Talk Show. You can find me on YouTube or Facebook. I think that's it. You guys,
y'all already know we're gonna put all of that in the show notes and everything, so you can definitely make sure that you're supporting her, following her. Crystal is out here putting in that work, and y'all know it's a family thing around here. We put our coins in that donation for the family. So make sure that y'all are supporting. The clothing line is dope. Little Zachariah just looks like a superhero. Like, I love it.
It says my hero has autism.
Yes, I love it.
I got a design to my artist.
Hair. Like, he's just so cute.
And you know what's funny? These supposed to be braids, but everybody think they're locks. So at this point, I just say like, it's whatever you want it to be. If you think it's locks, it's locks. Like,
I know that's right. I know that's right. But before we let you go, as you can see, you know, I have my vinyl wall here because we love music over here at the Freedom Podcast and with Conscious Kingdom. Hip hop music and just music in general, honestly, is just a major part of my self-love and self-care. So I always like to ask everybody, what is your absolute favorite go-to song? Like, you having a rough day, it's like, you know what, everybody just getting on my nerves. Like, what's your song? Or you just feeling real good and you like wake up with that swirl in your heart. Like, what's the one song you like, yeah, this is me, this is my go-to, and you just be happy and feeling yourself? What's your favorite song?
I got so many.
I know. That's why I like to test people, because everybody like, I got like 1,700 favorite songs. But what's your go-to song?
Right now, in this moment, I'm gonna say Jasmine. I got two. Jasmine Sullivan. Put feelings. Put
yes.
That's my song. And Tiana Taylor. I think she is very slept on.
Absolutely.
And she's dope. Low key. Those are my two right now. Like, I would jam to those all. I was literally just playing it for I got on here with you. Those two songs. Those are my two favorite right now in this moment.
I love it. I love it. And girl, I'm definitely, that Jasmine album was crazy. I ain't turned it off yet.
Me either.
I have not turned it off yet.
And the Tiana Taylor album was dope too. I said, why are people sleeping on this queen? She's so dope. Oh, and my other favorite song is The Baby. You know, the one he just did with the Grammys.
Oh yeah, that was a good performance too.
It was so deep.
Yeah.
I was like this. Because I live in Atlanta and I'm from
right,
Atlanta.
right.
So I'm like, you just took Atlanta to the Grammys. I was like, that whole scene is real.
Yeah.
It looked, when I say it looked exactly like where it happened at, off of Prior Street, I was like,
yeah,
baby, you did.
He did that.
I just want to throw it out there. He did that. That's not my favorite song, but that song is so powerful, and that performance was so powerful.
Yeah, he definitely did that. Well, thank y'all so much for tuning in. And of course, like I said, I'm going to put all her information in the show notes, but please make sure that you are supporting Crystal in her journey. Listen, we have the beauty of who we are as a people. We are in no way a monolith or one dimensional. There are so many dynamics and facets and issues in our community that we don't talk about, things that we shy away from because of the taboo or the stigma. But let y'all already know, 2021, we breaking up all that. We throwing out all that, okay? This whole platform is about speaking true Black narratives and raising our frequency to get to our freedom. We can't be free. We can't heal what we don't reveal. So this is our time to really pour back into our community, and more importantly, pour back into our children, to give them the things, the resources, and the support, and most importantly, the love that they need to reach their absolute full potential. Again, I want to just shout out Crystal, give you all the flowers, girl, all the bouquets, all the roses, tulips, sunflowers, the whole field. Okay, you deserve it all. I love everything that you're doing. It's not in vain. Your purpose is so divine and so powerful. And I know that you are going to make a big impact on this world and on the autism community as a whole, because what you're doing with the representation, the relentless advocacy that you have for your son and his success, it's all going to pay off. And I just look forward to talking to you a few months from now, a few years from now, and hearing about all of the great progress that Zachariah has made, because you as his mother are putting in that work to make sure that he does. So shout out to you again. Make sure y'all support Crystal, support Zachariah, support the brand, support the coloring book. And yeah, y'all, we doing this. We healing. We breaking all that. We doing better. We changing. We making real changes for real generational growth. Everybody talks about generational wealth. We talking about generational healing, growth, and power. So make sure that y'all are supporting Crystal, and always make sure that you're supporting this podcast at Freedom Podcast. You can follow us on everything at Freedom Podcast and shopconsciouskingdom.com. Thank you so much, cousin.
You're welcome. Bye.
Bye, y'all. Peace.